Hey, what's up? Hey, Charles here. I'm just, it's been a while since I did an actual video. Yeah, I had to let the beard grow in, getting close to winter now. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about, I picked up a rifle recently and I wanted to turn it around, clean it up, get it back out the door. This rifle, I managed to get it on a trade, sold the bike, and then I got the rifle as well as a bonus. So this rifle, the second I seen it, I knew he wasn't taking care of it. It was broken. He said it didn't work, things like that. But I knew right away once I seen it what it was, and that yeah, no, it's not broken. It just needs a little TLC. So this rifle I picked up is the Cooey 22 caliber bolt action repeater. So I'm going to show you it. So here it is. As you can see, it's got a little bit of crud on it. Must have been storing it in the place there. It's got some scratches, but nothing's deep. The reliefs are really nice, and but there's some surface rust and everything on the top. And then I was playing around with the bolt a little bit just to see if everything was working right. And then yeah, I noticed that the follower is coming out of it and pushing up and through. So that's easy enough to fix. Once I get that all done there, we'll get that sorted out. I wanted to talk a little bit about it because this rifle is like the predecessor of all actual good rifles that kids had. So this one is the repeater. It's 22 long rifle. Well, it takes short, long, regular. But this rifle, it's got a tubular magazine, so you can open her up and you can put 11 rounds of long rifle in it. At the time, that's people wanted that, right? It was accurate, as well as the bolt stayed closed when it was loaded, and you had the safety. So that was something Herbert came up with, Cooey, and it was a half cock position. So right there, there's a half cock position. So that was something he came up with, and that was very popular because, well, it was safe. People wanted, if they were going to buy this for their kids, they were going to buy something that was safe, and that was one of the big safety things that no other manufacturer could provide. We're going to talk a little bit about Herbert, where he started out. So, Canadian, Toronto. He was in Toronto, opened up a machine shop, 1903, and he was a shrewd businessman. He was 23 years old, shrewd businessman. He opened up this machine shop. He had a couple of guys working for him, and they were doing things a little bit with cars, a little bit of other stuff. But he just expanded. His work was very, very good for quality, and it was cheap. So he prided himself on that, and that's something that he always stuck to when he went towards, well, Cooey Firearms. Um, but yeah, so First World War, he came out and he managed to land a contract to make the peep sights. So for the Ross rifle. Now everybody knows the Ross rifle. Nobody really likes them. But he made the peep sights. It was a folding peep sight that actually went onto the Ross rifle. High quality. Contract was pretty cheap. People loved it, and he made a lot of money off of that. So yeah, okay, war profits, things like that. But people loved him for it. So he made training rifles as well. So this took off really well with him because the training rifles that they were using, they noticed, oh, these are really good, right? So he got later on, managed to get it for he was making the cadet rifle for the air cadets. He was making the full length. It was like a Lee Enfield full stock 22 training rifle. Beautiful gun and really, really good. Stuck around for years, right? And if you manage to get one of those, hold on to it. That's a really nice gun. But yeah, so we're gonna go back to Cooey. So Herbert, he had those. He's doing those things. 1919, he came out with what's known as the Cooey Canuck. It was a bolt action 22 caliber rifle, single shot. It was very well designed. Okay, this rifle was accurate. Okay, bonus. It was cheap. Bonus there too. It didn't break down. Okay, what I mean by that is that you could be hard with it, soft with it. It worked really well. It was very minimum parts into it, so it didn't break. Other rifles that were also accurate had a little bit more, and then rifles that weren't as accurate had less, but we won't go into those. People loved it because it was that middle, but it was also a very accurate rifle. It wasn't just for kids, it was for adults as well because they loved it too. So 1924 came around. He had his rifle went to the British Empire show, and he won the British Empire's Award of Honor. So it was a certificate of honor. This gathering that happened, it was 27 million people went to this. That's just not heard. Like that's a lot of people at that time. It was very popular. Everybody loved his rifle. So the amount of people that seen that, you can just imagine how much that took off. And then he just expanded, and then things went nuts. So he came back around that time. Before then, he was making shotguns. He loved making shotguns. He was a big time shotgun specialist because he was shot with the Olympic team in Paris, and I think they won silver. So yeah, so that was one of his things. But he also came back and he knew that, yeah, okay, shotgun's great, but with the money was with the 22, right? So he came back and he was going there. He came up and he redesigned, and he knew that people they loved their rifle, they loved that rifle, but they wanted more ammo. So he came up with the repeater. So that is where he went. He knew he couldn't go with just a long rifle. He needed all kinds of sizes, right, to be able to do. So he came up tubular design. Takes shorts, longs, you just jam them all in. Doesn't really matter if you got shorts or longs, as long as you know kind of what it is, or if you just plunking around, just throw them in there and it's good to go. So the action style on the bolt, I'm going to show you what he came up with was the Mauser style. So it's a small, oh geez, that does not sound good. Okay, so here I'm gonna put this like this, and then I'm gonna take it so I can show you what it actually looks like. Take that brass. Okay, so as you can see here, he's got these, it's a press spring. So the spring goes over top, and then it's on either side here. So as the round comes through, well, if all were sticking out, that's what the problem is. That round would come in here and would sit in there. Okay, so that round would go up over top of the next one and would sit inside in chamber. As it pulled it out, if you came back and you extracted that round, the next round would go into that follower, and it would slide up, pull out, and pop out the next one, right? So this is actually a pretty good design because, well, it's just a spring steel, and it just goes over top. Oh, that's where it went wrong. So this is actually one of the problems that happens a lot with the half cock, is it'll lock itself up, and then you get kind of this jam here. So that's okay, we can fix that pretty easily, because when we go back forward, it'll jam down, and we kind of get, sometimes it'll lock itself and sometimes it won't lock itself, but we don't really want that. So there's a 2-part bolt. Jeez, that's a lot of stuff there. But yeah, we're going to get this cleaned up here pretty nice. As you can see, that rifle, that's pretty much the mechanics of it. Works pretty well. It's not really like any other 22 caliber, because when you squeeze the trigger, you can pull the bolt all the way out. You do that with Savages, things like that. This one here, you actually got to open it up, and you got to pull it apart a little bit, and there's a bolt at the bottom. It loosens up, and that's where the bolt slides on the magazine, and then you can pull it off, squeeze the trigger, and pull that bolt out. So it's not really the greatest to be working on in the field, but these things you don't have to work on it in the field because it works all the time. I'm gonna fix this stuff here, but we're gonna talk a little bit more about it. So 1922, this thing took off. It was the greatest, right? So 1929 is when the repeater came out. Before then, people really loved the bolt action. Everybody wanted one. So you might have heard some of the actual advertisements. Make mine a Cooey. I want the best. What else was there? There's some other ones there, but in 1922, it was a Rod and Gun Canada. It was an advertisement that they did, and it said the ideal Christmas present for the red-blooded boy, whether he lives in the city, the town, the country. So that everybody remembered that, and that's when, well, he kind of got his name even further out there. And then when he came out with the repeater, everybody wanted it, and that was just something that they always did. 1929, it was just boom, 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 boom. So this is pretty popular rifle. I'm gonna go over how to take the bolt apart really quick, or how to take the bolt out of it, because yeah, you might want to see that. And then we're gonna go over and take a look at it, and then I'm gonna do some work on this thing, hopefully clean it up and get it back out the door as quick as possible. So move it over so you can see. As you can see, there's the relief. There's the rabbit. Oh, there's a piece missing out of there. That's okay. We'll clean that up. Nice. It's a pressed relief. So they pressed with the machine. It's pressed on here, and that's how it pushed the checkering into it. So lots of times you see this, all this checkering is all damaged pretty much, and then you can see down here where it's a piece notched out of there. Yeah, we're gonna clean that up nice, and we're gonna make this thing look really nice. I'm not gonna touch the checkering or anything like that because, well, there's no point. I don't want to really change how the rifle looks because I shouldn't have to, right? As you can see up here, there's 4 holes drilled. So someone must have had a weaver sight or something like that on there, or a spot or a scope. So I'm gonna clean those out, tap them out, and then I got an extra scope kicking around. I might throw it on there, maybe see if I can get some extra cash out of it for whatever it is. So this thing, let's take her apart. So as you can see, the bolt is already sticking out a little bit. We're gonna have to play around with that a little bit, and then don't really look. So what do we got going on here? I don't know, is it early? Yeah, that's not sounding great right there. Oh, it's still locking into place. Okay, so we're gonna take this. I'm gonna take the follower out. So it just slides out. So now the magazine tube, that was the magazine follower inside there, and then as you can see, it's got this really long one there. That'll push all the rounds down into the tube. So it's brass. Makes it pretty good. It's pretty easy. I'll shine that up real nice, and then we'll get this thing looking really nice. Okay, so like I said, other rifles, you can pull them apart. You just squeeze the trigger and you take the bolt out. This one here, you can't really do that. So we're gonna. That doesn't sound right at all. Okay, so I'm gonna get a screwdriver. All right, so flathead screw at the front here. Pop that out. It's loose too. Maybe he had it apart already, I don't really know. Maybe he was playing around with it, but we'll find out in a minute here. It's shiny, so he must have been playing around with it. Okay, so from there, just pops on out. So stock's in pretty nice condition. Looks really nice. Looks nice on the inside. I noticed when I was just doing this, there is a split right here. So as you can see, you got a little bit of a split there. I might be able to clean that out. Looks almost like you pushed that on there and you over tightened that screw. That's what happens. So you got too much pressure there, and that bent it around and split that. So I might be able to clean that up. Maybe I'll clean it up and go with an actual metal guard, or I might just stick with this and then clean that up so it's not looking a little bit nicer. Okay. I don't want to have that thing there. Go right there. So as you can see, it's pretty simple. Okay, you got right here. What is going on? That's not supposed to be there. Okay, so usually, well, this is actually original. So usually right here, you might see on some of the other rifles, there's going to be a nut. There'll be actually a bolt sitting, or a little bolt be sitting in there. You can see where there's a little bit of brass cleaned up on there. So what you want to do is you want to loosen this up, because see there's some pressure on there. That's going to loosen up here, and then you can actually get your bolt out of there all the way out without having to worry about it. Okay, so hopefully that comes out nice. Need a wider screwdriver. Always use the right tool for the job. So we're going to go wide, just because, as you can see, hole in the side there, because it's on the internal. Loosened up. There we go. So it's just loose up there. So now you can see it came up a little bit here. We can pull this up, take the bolt up, and then we'll slide that out. What's going on now? Oh, there we go. It's catching. All right. And that's pretty much it. That's how you take it apart. So I'm going to actually clean this up. Really nice. You can see there's a whole bunch of surface rust, which is fine because it's on the surface. And I can clean that up real nice. I'll give it a nice... We'll take a look at the bluing and browning and that. And then take a look at the bolt. Bolt looks pretty nice. Nice condition. And I'm really happy. I can see the firing pin. Sometimes you never know. Some people are just a little bit too rough with things, and then gets things ground down a little bit too much. But as you can see, camera's on this side. Right there, you could see. See, that's that brass, or that the spring. It's just a press spring. So it's the bolt or bullet come back here. The shell come back, and a slide in the bottom here. As you can see, slide up. And then it'll sit in there, and then it'll push all the way up as it goes into the chamber and chambers around. And then the next one will slide in, and it'll push that out, push the expended one out. And then, as you can see, goes around inside there. So that's pretty much it. That's the Cooey. I'm gonna play around with it, clean it up, get this thing nice, and then I'll do another video after I got it all cleaned up. Well, maybe I'll do one after I got the get the stock all cleaned up, because I'm gonna get some quadruple seal wool, and then I'll clean that up, shine her up, and then I'll move on to the actual mechanical parts. But yeah, that's me, Chuck here. I'm just a nice quick one. I know it's a little bit lengthy one, but yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Herbert because well, he was ahead of his time, right? So yeah, have a good one. See you around.